Hi there, welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel, where I feel like I should thank you for giving me a reason to take some time out and concentrate on books. I just love that I have a reason and it kind of a luxury to take some time and really concentrate on the books that I love. And I thank you so much for everybody who's said encouraging and kind things about this kind of strange hobby that I have of making videos about my books. I am a book lover and collector. I really enjoy reading and I love having a special copy of a book, which seems like a huge luxury because I'm also very frugal, but I have gotten pretty creative and lucky and found some really cool things. So today I'm going on a hunting trip to find some more books. I have a list of some fiction that I'm really interested in that I'm hoping to find. I keep a list, and the way I do it is I see a review or a friend tells me about a new book of popular fiction type and I put it on my Amazon wish list, and then I keep a Google document of the things that I want. People ask me for things. I've a bunch of friends who have kids who are not interested in paying full price for books, and neither am I. So I have those on my list and things that I'm looking for presents, and then the collectibles. So I'm very fortunate to have some nice editions and I look for those all the time. So I collect mainly, you can see I don't have a ton of shelf space. I'm mostly looking for books that I enjoyed as a kid. I love having a special copy of early edition or a special hardback edition with a cool cover, things like that. So, and I do not want to pay retail prices. So I'll be going to some bargain places and some charity type shops and sales and things like that, and I would love to take you along. Today I am going to a warehouse. It is huge and it is hit or miss. You never know what mood they are going to be in when they price things, partly because they have a sister store that is not at all large, it's very small, and fancy, and in a part of the neighborhood that they're paying a lot in rent. So the books are very high end, very beautiful. I've looked at their webpage, and when they can't sell them or the other things that come with them, if they're buying a large volume of books, the other stuff goes to the warehouse and everything is half off, which is kind of funny because everything's half off all the time. So you think that they could just price them down, but I think it's because they're whatever doesn't fit in at the other store ends up at the warehouse. So they're really trying to sell in volume. They're just trying to move all these books out of this warehouse. So sometimes you get lucky that it's a nicer edition and they're just not paying attention to it or they don't care. I got a really great copy of Slaughterhouse 5 and they charged me $5 and it's maybe $100 book because they're just thinking it's a copy of Slaughterhouse 5 that you're going to read. That's normally how they price there. So if I'm lucky, I will find good books that I want, some stuff for presents for people, the classics that I'm looking for, nice editions. And then if I see a nice edition that I know is valuable and it's worth more maybe than they priced it, I'll bring that home and sell it on my eBay. And that's how I keep affording my large book collection. So let's go see what we can find. okay, we're all done with the book shopping. What a great day. Sometimes that bookstore can be a little hit or miss because just the nature of the thing, they're just selling used books, so it's just depends on who's bringing in what and how they decide to price it. I found so much great stuff. I had so much fun. And the weather was beautiful. It's great for a drive. Okay, so I found a copy of Ulysses by James Joyce. I've never read it. I've never felt compelled to, and I am not going to keep this. But I have a friend who has sold first editions of this book on her eBay, and she counseled me. This is the same color as the first, but it is missing some additional words on the cover. And I can show you on the copyright. It doesn't have any marks about the editions. This is a later edition, but it is vintage. I paid $7.50 for this, and I can certainly list it for $10 on eBay, and after fees that means I break even. So this is a true gambler endeavor to see what will the market do. Will it make me a couple dollars? This is really neat. This is an early book by Aldous Huxley. This is not his most famous book. It's a book called Chrome Yellow. It does not come with a dust jacket, but it is early, and I think that his stuff is pretty rare in the earlier vintage copies. So I'm hoping that I will find a new home for this one too, with a collector who will love it. I paid $6 for this. The copyright page says 1922, and there's a publisher's mark. It says, I think it says G-W, it might be a C, under the copyright blurb. I can show that to you. Some publishers do this. There's a letter code, and it means the year, but they ran out of the alphabet and had to restart. So I'm gonna have to do some interesting research to find out what year this was actually printed in. The copyright is 1922, but if they printed it multiple years after that, you might be able to figure it out with the date. So I will look forward to that. And that one is a little bit more of a research thing. I don't know how much that book really goes for, but I assume it's more than I paid / hope. This is really neat. This is one of the Andrew Lang fairy tale books. He did this whole series of fairy tales collected around the world and translated them all into English and then put them in these rainbow colored books assortment. I did a video on my Andrew Lang collection, and I'll put a link in the notes. This is the Blue Fairy book. It is published by the original publisher, Longmans of England, but it is a later, this is a trade edition, and it is flat printed. So there's an illustration here, and it's almost trying to be embossed, but it's not. And it's got some really cool detail on the spine. So you can imagine if you had the red and the crimson and the yellow and the orange and the green and the blue and the so on all lined up, these would probably be beautiful with all of them. I've seen a bunch of these editions where they're later and they really run the gamut. This one's cool partly because it has a frontispiece, this illustration across from the title page, and it's color, which is really kind of neat. And then in the text, it has additional black and white illustrations. These are versions of the original ones. The copyright page is telling me 1944, which is not bad. That's very vintage. That's, I mean, it's going on 75 years. We're getting close to bona fide antique there. For reference, I'm going to show you the original. This is the first. It's really cool. And then this is what the spine looks like. This guy, I'll show you the frontispiece. So here, my copy is not the first edition. This is the first format. This is the fancy edition. And it has this is in black and white, and then here is a piece of tissue paper to save any kind of crossover, bleed over of the print onto the title page. This is 1893, 6th edition. I'm pretty sure the ones I have that are earlier, that would be a color frontispiece. And let me show you an example. It's a little bit nicer, more refined, I guess, illustration. So you can see the difference. This though is maybe $100 book. And this one, I don't know, 10, 20 maybe on eBay. So if you just want to read it, this is really cool to have as a vintage copy. You wouldn't have to worry when you're reading it. You could just read it and eat your chocolate while you go. Oh, look, here's the same illustration. This is the one that I showed you in the original. You can see that it's just not quite as delicate of an illustration. It's the same thing. So this is also vintage. I think either would be lovely to have. I just think that it's nice to read this way. I mean, this is a treasure, and this is fantastic. And I think if you're gonna read it, wouldn't you rather have a nice hardback that's vintage with cool illustrations than a paperback? Okay, oh, I'm so excited about this. The Neverending Story. I don't even think I really knew this was a book, and I definitely had vivid memories of watching this movie as a kid, so I'm thrilled. I really enjoy having a nice copy of a book of something that I remember from my childhood. This is also a fascinating copy. There is a mark here that this was withdrawn from a library, but that's the only mark. There's nothing on the spine. There's nothing on the physical book. There's no pocket in the back. Sometimes when you get this where it used to be in a library, you get all of these marks that really detract from the fun of having a fancy hardback. But in this case, not so much. Also, the copyright page has a 2 on the number line, and this is, who's the publisher of this guy? Doubleday, and I'm pretty sure in this case that means it's the 2nd edition. Here's the number line. So sometimes it's the lowest number on the line is the edition. They just take it off, so maybe it said 1 through 9. I actually saw an example of this online that it said First American Edition, so I think when I went to the number line, that's the 2nd. And you can see the text is different colors. It's red and green type, and there's crazy illustrations. I'm so excited. Okay, this book I paid $7.50. It does have that library mark. The price is clipped from the dust jacket, but other than that, it's in great condition. And the ones that I saw on eBay that have sold, the 2nd edition, maybe $30 to $50. So this is both a bargain and a great find. Cannot wait to read it. I also got a novel by Daphne du Maurier. I loved Rebecca. I read it because I have a poster from the original Mystery Theater on PBS. I have that poster because it's illustrated by Edward Gorey, who I love, and it's these sort of a series of slightly creepy, suspenseful things, and one of them was Rebecca, and I saw it at a sale and picked it up, and I loved it. And then of course now there's the very popular Netflix movie version of that book, so the vintage copies are also very popular. They've risen. And I found today The Flight of the Falcon by Daphne, so I'm hoping that it's just as good. It's also some kind of murder mystery, so that sounds great to me. This is 1965. It was $5 whole, which is not that bad. It has a, I was wondering actually if it was maybe a book club edition, if it was a reprint of some kind. I can't find any marks for it, and it had this, I found later, it has this bookmark in it for a rare bookstore, so I think probably not, probably in the clear. $5 for a nice hardback book version of a very popular vintage book. It's amazing. And I have to show you, this is my copy of Rebecca, and this is a Random House. They did this really cool thing with this gilt ribbon that wraps around it, and you can get it with the dust jacket, and I think the dust jacket takes away from it because it's just sort of a, I want to say some kind of floral motif, and then you can't see the cool gilt, so I'm happy with that. And I found this copy of Tom Sawyer. I think I have a nice copy of Tom Sawyer, so I don't need this, but this is cool because people like to have this. It's a good gift. If definitely if you have a friend who has a new baby and it's a little boy, or any kind of gift for anybody who has a little boy, honestly, this is a cool one to give. This edition is nice. It has an illustrated end paper, Mark Twain and his paddle boats, and it has a color frontispiece. And I paid $4 for this. Usually this format, anything that's vintage that has this paste down illustrated cover, nice spine. It's in good condition. I'll list this for about $10 on eBay and just see what happens. People might love it and fight over it. It's in good condition and it's kind of cool. And then I found, this is so nice, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. It's a nice early edition. It's by Little Brown and Company. Sorry, yep. It's rubbed here on the bottom. I'm having a hard time understanding. What's happened? Like you're taking it off the shelf too much and you're dragging it along? I don't know. There's not really anything to the rest of it. The top has gilt on the page. Little Brown and Company was, I believe, the original publisher of Little Women in multiple volumes, like really small ones, and that is crazy money. This is really nice, and it has a frontispiece. It's black and white. There's a little bit of tissue paper here, and it says 1906. This book is a survivor. It's got beautiful illustrations, and it's just this is a nice copy. I have a copy of Little Women, and I have a set, they all match. So this one will be looking for a new home. I paid about $5 for this, and I think looking at them, they kind of run the gamut. This is one that it just depends, I think, where the wind is blowing when it's listed for an auction. And I think on eBay, it'll be maybe around $20 to $30, which is also, if you need a gift, that seems like a really great price. And if this is a book that you loved as a small person, that as an adult you would like to have a nice copy to reread, it'd be great. Like a nice hardback that has beautiful illustrations. So it would be sort of an experience to reread. That is why I like a nice copy. I always ask people think I'm a little bananas for having all these books. And I ask people, what is your favorite book? Wouldn't you like to have a nicely illustrated early copy? Hardcover, maybe with a nice dust jacket, maybe in leather, something like that. And then I think people kind of get it. So this ticked all the boxes today. I found some stuff to read, to keep for myself. I found a book for somebody's birthday. I used to say that all the time. Oh, I found some books, I can't show them to you because they're for presents. And someone said, well, you'll have to someday, at some point, you should show us what they are. And I think that's fascinating. So I think I have somebody's having a birthday soon, and I'll have to do the video before I send it, and then we can release the video of what was sent. And I would love to hear people's reaction to that, if that really is something you want to hear about. So I think, in summation, great day. I had so much fun at the bookstore. I had so much fun with these books. I'm so excited to read The Neverending Story in a vintage second edition copy. And I feel like I found some treasure at great prices. So wonderful day. Thank you for sharing it with me, and thank you for supporting me with this interesting hobby. If you like this video, please let me know so that I'll know which kind of videos to keep doing. And if you're into books, please subscribe and let me know what you're reading. Thank you for watching, and happy reading.